Hi there. You won't know me because I'm not a YouTuber. I'm Sarah, and I'm doing this video because it's Mental Health Awareness Week. I am mentally ill, and I have been since I have been 14. I have had depressive episodes ever since then, but I didn't recognize them. I had no idea what they were back then until I was diagnosed with depression in 2013. And from then on, I decided against therapy because I was too vain and too proud, and getting a therapy place still takes quite a long time here. And but in the very beginning of 2017, I just felt and knew that I couldn't go on anymore as I did. And I knew that I had to get help, and that I needed help. So I started to look for a therapist, and I had a first appointment in 2017 in April. I'm sorry, I had to get a tissue because my nose started to run. No, I had my first appointment in April, and I was then put on the waiting list, and I got my therapy place in July. So in the end, I waited 7 months to get a therapy place, and it was the best thing I ever could have done. I should have done that years ago. And the reason I'm telling you this, whether you care for it or not, I guess if you click the video you sort of care. The reason I'm telling you this is because being in therapy but not really being able to talk about it has made me want to do this video, because I think we still don't talk about mentally ill people or mental illnesses and the importance of mental health enough. And you see all kind of articles. I guess I'm sort of, my algorithm, my Facebook algorithm just tends to bring me to lots of articles on that topic, but I still think we don't talk about it enough, because I still know a lot of people that give you quite a negative reaction should you tell them that you're ill and that you're depressed. I can only speak for myself and about my own experience with depression. But I would really like to engage people to talk about their illnesses more, because I really hate the fact that there's still so much prejudice and so much stigma going around mental illness, and I think it's really not fair, and it causes people not to get help when they really need it because they're too afraid. And they might be too afraid, just like I was. I was afraid what people might think, which really doesn't matter, but sometimes you have to learn, sometimes you have to learn the hard way, sometimes you never learn. And people really underestimate how important it is that you're not just physically healthy, but that you're also mentally healthy. And that each and every one can be hit with a mental illness, whether they like it or not. And I've been, I don't want to say harassed. Harassed is the wrong word. I'm looking for the word. But I think depending on where you live, depression, not just depression, but any kind of mental illness is still a taboo topic. And I would really like to change that. I would really like to get rid of any kind of stupid prejudice and stigma there is. I want people to be able to stand up and say, yes, I have a mental illness. So, and I think the reason why there is still so much prejudice and such a stigma is because lots of people have no insight into a mentally ill person. So this is why I'm here, putting myself out there and opening up about it, even though I don't really much like it, because I've made the experiences that you have to be quite careful about who you tell and what you tell. But I still think if we don't talk about it and if we don't educate people about it, then how are we going to go forward? How are we ever going to change anything? Never. And so I'm really putting myself out there right now. And I don't know how many people are going to watch this. I don't expect too many, because this is not usually a topic that trends on YouTube. But I would really like to try and encourage people, other people, to share their experiences as well, and to just make the first step and hope that others will maybe do this as well, whether they're known YouTubers or whether it's just anyone that they might be willing to share their experiences with mental illness, no matter what illness, and maybe even with therapy. Because I think it's just important that we share more. Sharing is extremely important for our recovery as it is, and I still have trouble with that. And like I said, for me it's really annoying that I can't talk about my therapy more, because it's been so much good use, but it's still not easy. It's not easy all the time. It's very hard at times, because you have to get in touch with your feelings and feelings you don't want to feel, and you have to engage with those feelings and try to deal with them. And before you were just trying to avoid those feelings, and that's a tough experience, and it can be really difficult. And to make a change, people have, of course, willing to learn and willing to listen. But we can only take just one step at a time. So this is the step I'm taking. And I want people to stop treating this as something terrible and something that you really shouldn't talk about, that you should really just keep to yourself. Because people might just put you in a drawer and just be like, well, she's just crazy and she just belongs in the loony bin. She's just a lunatic. I guess that's just really not right. And there have just been some instances where mental illness has become a difficult problem, because it led to people not just wanting to kill themselves, but that they've turned to extended suicide and tend to take someone with them. And where I come from, that has led to a very difficult situation, because there was something issued out that was supposed to turn into a law, which would treat, I think, all mentally ill people. I don't think it was just depressed people, but I think that would treat all mentally ill people like common criminals. And I will try to find links that will explain this to you in English, and I will link them down below. I hope I can find something. So you have a little more understanding of that. But the thought about this law really scares me, and it really terrified me, and it didn't just do that, it also insulted me. Because saying that we're all the same and that we might all be, essentially just saying that we might all be a terrible danger to each and every one of you, is so counterproductive and so useless, and what this law will do in the end is just make people more afraid to share when they're ill, and it will not make them get help. It will make them hide even more than they already do. And I think we can all agree that that is very stupid and really not the way to go. So what I really want to achieve with this, if anything, that somebody at least takes something good from this, and maybe in the long run that there will be a day when nobody has to be ashamed anymore of being mentally ill, because that's what it feels like right now. That we have to be ashamed for this illness, and that we always have to defend ourselves, and that we if we act weird, if somebody else who is ill and acts weird, everybody is considerate because they know why, but because we can't tell anyone that we're ill, nobody understands why we act weird. And I really don't want anybody to feel ashamed that they're ill. That's just not okay. I've been shamed and ridiculed because of this illness and told that I wasn't depressed, that there was no depression at my age because I was too young to be depressed, no such thing, and which has very much upset me. Things like that really kind of piss me off. And you just have, when you interact with some people and talk about, with some people you can really tell that they don't understand you. And I can only hope that we will come to a point where we talk about this more, where we engage about this more, that people will finally understand more and, well, be less prejudiced and maybe listen a little bit better and just try to think out of the box a little bit more. In general, I just want people, first of all, if people who feel like they might be ill or already know that they're ill, to encourage them to get help, because nobody needs to go through this alone. And the longer you wait, that has been my experience, the longer you wait, the more difficult it will get. First of all, to go see a doctor, and second of all, to go through therapy. And I don't know if anybody else has felt this way. I would love it to know if somebody would share it and just tell me in the comments or anything if they felt similar. I was in denial about this for a long time, and even when I realized that I needed help and when I started to get help, and even when I was in therapy, I've been in therapy for almost a year now, and I knew I needed help, I knew something was wrong, but actually I didn't actually feel ill. I didn't feel mentally ill, and that's quite a weird feeling, that you know you're ill. And I think that's a big problem because it is a diagnosed illness, just like cancer or Parkinson or anything else. What kind of other terrible disease have you? There are lots. And this is similar. It's a diagnosable illness, but you can't really tell. I mean, I only noticed and I only really felt mentally ill at the end of last year. That's when it hit me. So I was already having almost half a year of therapy when I finally felt, okay, the way you're reacting now and the way you're feeling right now is not normal. It's definitely not healthy. And it was very weird. It was a very weird realization, but that's actually when it finally hit me. I was already in therapy when it finally hit me and I finally understood that I was actually ill. And that was also okay. It's not my fault. And I don't want to be ill. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to feel ill. I don't want to feel the way I felt for so long. And if you really want to change something, if you really want to come to a point where you go, okay, this is not enjoyable anymore. This sucks. And you want to change something, I just want to encourage each and everyone to do that. And for anyone out there who has someone in their family or friends or acquaintances that you know is ill, and lots of people usually tend to ask, okay, what can we do? And we don't know what to do, and we feel like we should be walking on eggshells. I can only speak for me. For me, that's quite true. Because I'm quite sensitive, I'm very sensitive, and depending on what topic we're talking about, I can get very upset easily, and people will really not understand my reaction. But that's actually because of that. And the only tip I can give you, because a lot of people are completely overwhelmed and don't know what to do. And I can only tell you, just be there for them. Just be there and just listen and don't judge. That's the most important thing, because that's what your therapist is for, actually. But it's very necessary for us that we share with others, and that, because at some point we usually tend to just shut other people out. I did that. I shut other people out, and people have turned their back on me because I would just stay at home and never go out and never be, when we made appointments, I would just not show up, and sometimes even not even cancel. And so people turned their back on me. They might not have done that if I've told them, but I was too scared to tell them. And in general, especially when you know that somebody is ill, I can only say, be there for them and make them understand that you're there if they need help. And usually it's just someone that should just listen. You don't even have to give tips or anything. You don't have to heal us. That's not what you're there for. That's what doctors and psychologists and psychotherapists are there for. You really should just be there and listen. And please don't judge. Don't judge, because as trivial as some of what just troubles us might seem to others, it's just much more dire to us than you might think. And understanding that, and that it's really, that we really don't choose to be like that, and that we really didn't pick this situation as our favorite, it's just something that you should keep in mind. And as I said before, I would encourage anyone, if there should be any questions, or if you would want me to elaborate on my illness and the way my illness progressed, and why I decided to get therapy, and if you want me to elaborate on therapy and what I've been going through and what I've done, then I just put it in the comments and let me know. And maybe I'll do a follow-up video and answer questions there. Like I said, I have no idea how many people that this will reach. I'm just kind of hoping that it might just, again, I want to encourage you, share this as much as you like, and maybe even with people who you know are ill, to get them, just give them a sense that they're not alone. Because that's usually a very big problem, especially for me as a depressed person. We tend to feel very much alone, and that nobody understands us. But you cannot really understand us because we won't talk to you. So that's kind of a vicious circle, and I just want to break out of that circle. So on that happy note, I want to wish you the best day you can have, and maybe we'll see each other again.